the ability to have fun in your business. Like
Awesome.
that's massive to me, you know, like I
Awesome.
cannot be like boring or static or like I can't live like that. So one of my goals is to have fun every day with what I'm doing. Regardless, we were just talking about a few minutes ago how I was dealing with some bookkeeping things.
Hmm? I
Some of
feel
these
your pain.
topics can be, you know, like a little bit of a little harder to find the fun in it. But even with things like that, I'm always very intentional about, you know, seeing the value and the fun within it. So I love that. Victoria, it's so nice to see you.
It's been a
Always
while, hey?
pleasure. It has been a while. I'm so happy that we get to do this and like catch up and connect. And I'm very curious to know what's been going on with you, what's new. So I'd love for you to give a little intro to our YouTube audience to see, tell a little bit about who you are and what you're working on.
Oh, I love it. And like one thing that I always felt with you is that we can go months without talking, but then it's so easy to pick right back up. And so I always appreciate that about you. But thank you for having me. It is exciting to be here. Lots going on. A real like summed up about who I am and my background. I started investing in real estate when I was like 19, 20 years old. I didn't know what I was doing. I was designing new builds. So I started with a townhouse. And if you can imagine like a 19, 20-year-old trying to make these permanent decisions on flooring, cabinetry, you know, lighting, all of the things that stay into a home. And luckily I had a builder's package to work with. So it was kind of like spoon fed at the time. And then I moved into like a bigger new build. So it was a bigger single family home. And then I moved into buy and holds. And then I moved into multifamily, smaller multifamilies, and then vacation rentals. So I owned some cottages on a lake. And that sort of got me into the world of social media because I created an account. All of a sudden, I had to start advertising. And then I had to move. So I was relocated for work from Nova Scotia to Ottawa. And I kept all of my rentals except for my cottages. And I felt this like loss of creativity because I was having a lot of fun with the Instagram account that I created for these cottages. It was called Bunkies on the Lake, and I just was having a great time with it. And so when I stopped doing that, I decided to create my own business account. And, you know, that's what opened up my eyes and just like realizing that there is a world out there way bigger and way more elaborate than what I could have even imagined. I had no idea there was women like us that do this every day. And it's really propelled me in the past year and a half with the networking, with the realization there's so many things that I was doing already that I didn't realize. I didn't even think of myself as an investor, and yet I was doing all of that. And so when I shifted that thought process from like just a side gig to, okay, I'm an actual investor and I'm going to lean into it and I'm going to take the networking seriously. And it has just been life changing for me. And so I'm really leaning in now.
I love it. I love that he came out of a place of wanting to go back to a creativity because I really believe that at the core of who we are creators. We are here to really add unique value proposition to the world, and that comes through our desire to create. So I love that that was the spark that got you back into something like social media, and obviously we can see very clearly the value and the ripple effect that you bring by getting yourself out there and offering so much value to everybody. So we certainly appreciate your desire to be creative, and I love that that's how that came about. That's amazing. It
Thank
makes me
you.
so
I
excited.
mean, I try to really give as much value as possible because the community has impacted me so positively. It's just a really great way for me to feel that I can do the same for other people, because it's really just like a gateway into this world that is amazing once you can get into it, but you don't know what you don't know. And so that's the goal, is to just kind of share as much as possible and enjoy it too. Like, there's something fun about it. I never got on board with social media personally for my own personal. I kept it very just low key, some pictures of my kid for the grandparents, that type of stuff. I didn't feel comfortable posting. And so now that I look at it more as a business, and every post has a purpose, and I can really do whatever I want to do, and I can make sure that, you know, the interest that I'm generating is aligned with who I am. It's been, I mean, I meet people like you know what I mean? Like, that's so valuable to be able to make these amazing connections with people who, like, you're such an inspiration in the type of buildings and the type of projects that you're taking on. And I see a lot of me in you, and vice versa. And so it's like, all of a sudden it normalizes this type of behavior, and it's powerful. And so if I can do that for anybody else, then yeah, it's a good day.
I so agree with you. This is what I love about social media. It's ultimately the ability to attract the best possible people into your network, people that otherwise may not have known about you, but once they do, they're so attracted to what you're offering, who you are, the inspiration that you are, and then they come to you and you get to meet the most amazing people and have the most interesting conversations. And that's why I started this, YouTube channel, to get me even more in a systemized way out and chatting with people and connecting. And I love it. I love it for the same reasons that you do. I agree about being fun. We gotta always, and this is something that I'm actually talking at the Wink tonight. I'm gonna talk about that. Just the ability to have fun in your business.
Awesome.
Like, that's massive to me, like I cannot be like boring or static, or like, I can't live like that. So one of my goals is to have fun every day with what I'm doing. Regardless, we were just talking about a few minutes ago how I was dealing with some bookkeeping things.
Mm-hmm.
Some of these topics can be, like a little bit of a little harder to find the fun in it. But even with things like that, I'm always very intentional about, seeing the value and the fun within it. So I love that.
And you get to make the rules. Like that, sorry to interrupt there, but you definitely, like, that's the great part about all of this, is that you get to make the rules instead of going to work for somebody that says, no, Adriana, you have to do the books like this. Of course, we have to follow the CRA guidelines, but you get to decide how often you want to track everything. And so you'll learn, I'm sure, from this year, lessons that you want to take into the next year so that you can improve. And the autonomy that comes with being the decision maker is just such an amazing feeling.
Yes, to that as well. And this is the thing with business ownership. Even though you are, looking at other people, how they've done it, you don't have to reinvent the wheel necessarily. What's amazing about it, it's extremely customizable to you, which again makes it such a unique value proposition to the world, because you are unique in how you're customizing your business, your preferences, your choices, your values. It all comes out in your business. It all comes out in what you're creating. And it becomes not only unique, it becomes you, but it becomes your, preferred lifestyle, which is what I love about the ability to own and run businesses.
And that's so fulfilling when you know that you've created, and it's great to get other people's input and to see how somebody who's successful doing it. Amazing. Like, that's valuable. But then when you can design it, I mean, that's so fulfilling.
And so let's talk about this, something I don't talk about very often, but I don't spend as much time on the how-tos of things. Okay, so people, for some reason or another, kind of expect that I'm like watching real estate how-tos all day, every day, or reading, from like the standpoint of like, this is how you would, analyze a property or whatever, any how-tos really on the business. And I don't really, quite a bit of my time is spent on self-development. It's bent on, connecting with people, building relationships, and it's bent on self-care to give me the best possible perspective in which to think about my business, in which to make decisions about my business, in which to move it forward. I'm always forward thinking and thinking what's next, what's the next level, what's the next expansion, what is the vision, what is the dream that's behind all of this, as opposed to diving into every single detail of the business, trying to understand it all to try to address issues. What's your thoughts about that?
So I've been in this quite a bit now, thinking about this topic, because my business is expanding and I'm bottlenecking it. And it's really been the past couple of months that I've had to really force myself to get into this. And I am a big believer in problems come solutions. And so I'm grateful for the problems, because often if I address the problem, then the outcome is going to be better. And it's just going through that discomfort of the problem. And so for me, the how-to, and again, my background is organizational psychology. And so I'm very invested in human behavior of the workplace, how people function, the roles that they should be in, and best fit for these positions. And I've just recently hired 2 more contracted employees, and that's going to build my team now to 4, because I have an ops manager, I have a bookkeeper, and now I have 2 acquisition managers for different locations that I'm investing in to be able to help me get my deals from start to finish, because that's where the bottleneck is coming in. I'm the same with you. I love the relationships. I love the networking. I love being the visionary. And have you read Traction yet?
I have, yes.
Okay, Traction, I really do like that book, because it's very clear cut in outlining positions and at least having departments. So if you're thinking, 5, 10, 15 years advance, that's where I'm thinking from, an organizational structure. And I'm bringing people in that would be fit for the type of departments that I can envision in my business and my growth, and finding the who's to do the job. So bookkeeping, for example, we were just talking about that. I also went through year end, and I had 3 corporations to finalize, but it was actually quite relaxed for me, because I have a bookkeeper that every month is going through all of the inputs, and I have my ops manager who is reviewing all my rental statements every month that comes in. And when I have to travel somewhere or locations, we're putting it on a spreadsheet in advance. And so if there's any questions, they're coming to me every single month so I can answer it while it's clear in my head. And then boom, it just got entered into the system. And so there's definitely tweaks. So I'm always tweaking, because I think that we need to grow, and we need to always improve and be open to that feedback. But it so far has been going really well when you take the time to, outline the steps. We call them standard operating procedures in my line of work. And so I love having SOPs for jobs that need to get done. Even though I'm not good at the spreadsheets, I'm not good at necessarily the admin, but I'm good at least visualizing what needs to happen. And then I find the people that can do that job.
That's right. That's the process of building a business. I'm very similar way. We do have bookkeepers that do it monthly. This was my personal corporation that fell behind. While all of our buildings corporations, about 7 or 8, are on track. So I appreciate that. Agreed. Similar system there. What I realized I've always been very practical in nature, and my brain thinks in steps, and this is what I need to do. These are the steps. I started moving away from that and becoming way more of a generalist in how I think. Because what I realized is I would get easily consumed with tasks. and things to do. And then I would get to the end of the day and I not only feel like I didn't do enough or accomplished my whole list, I've added another 10 items as I was going through the day and having conversations and, meeting with my team. I started to take a step back and think and become way more generalist in what I do. And I think the visionary and the founder really has a more general role. You need to be able to see your business in a big picture.
Yes.
If I'm involved in the tiny details of everything that is occurring in the business, I can't think big. I'm also just stuck in the present, current situation and problem solving, as opposed to, again, moving the business forward with new ideas and expansion. I want to evolve, and I have been, and so have you, in such a fast pace, like you said, constant tweaking. That is my number one model. Like, constant improvement is what I tell my team immediately. Let's build a draft now of the model. Let's start implementing it. And then our focus is always, how can we improve it? What is the next level to what we're doing now? So it gets moving and it keeps you building, and it compounds. That time, that intention really compounds in the business.
And what stood out to me is that you're moving forward, not necessarily with a concrete plan in place, and then you're adapting it as you go, and I love that. I do the same thing. It's like full steam ahead, and we'll figure it out as we go along, instead of needing everything to be perfectly set up in place before we implement. And so that's a big difference in how you can just get ahead and have that confidence in your skills and abilities. Even though it may look a little bit different for what you're doing right now, you can use so many other transferable skills that you have in order to push through. And then you can adapt, you can overcome, and you can improve for the next time.
100%. I tell people, you really only need to know what the next couple steps are, have an idea what those are, and then go move towards it. Once you're there, a ton of new information, new experiences, new expansion is going to reveal itself to you. And now you're going to adapt and figure out, okay, now that I'm here, what are my next 2 steps? Because it's also a process of gaining clarity, which is what is the most important piece to me. As I take those 2 steps, I stop and I gain clarity on, okay, where am I at with this? How I'm feeling about this? How do I love it? What do I want the outcome to be? What is the expansion that I still need to experience? Because once I start dreaming about what's next, it's really a process of now me becoming that person that's going to have that experience of the expansion. And that process is so unique, and it's a lot of self-awareness and clarity and movement forward in my own person first. And then it manifests itself into the business and what comes out of it.
It's awesome. That's like the identity component, right? When you assume the identity of the person that you want to be, you start showing up as that person. And it's so important to take on that role. And even if you're not there yet, you think, and that's where you can just start thinking, well, what would it look like if I was this? And start being that and showing up that way. So absolutely, it was a big shift for me. I really took on entrepreneur now. I really do feel like an entrepreneur when I never did before. Even when I feel like an investor, and I love investing in real estate, but there's now this other shift of me of developing and growing a business that's been just so fun. I've really enjoyed it. And so being able to incorporate investing, but maybe that's not going to be everything. I mean, we're closing today on a motel. And so
congratulations.
Thank you. It's been so exciting, but it's a really fun project outside of the multifamilies that I've normally done. Now, I did do vacation rentals, so I have a taste of it, and it's a lot of fun. And so I don't necessarily think of it just as real estate investing at this point. It's a business that we purchased and now we're going to operate. So yeah, sky's the limits. I mean, it could be anything.
I know. I love that. So there's another shift that's been happening. I want to dive into your moteling a little bit, but there's another shift that's been happening in my mind as well for this reason. I think there's some I'm going to call it old. It feels like old to me, teachings about business development which kind of guides you to, look, as we talked about, you do have to look ahead enough. But I had a business coach a couple of years ago, and that was kind of his strategy. He's like, okay, decide how much you want to make. Now let's break it down where the income is coming from. Now let's see how many, in our case was how many buildings, how many doors you're going to get per square foot, for how fast so you can get to your goal. And I didn't connect with that. I just didn't at the time. I coached with him for about 6 months, and it didn't matter how many times I came back to our coaching. I just was not connecting with what we were talking about. So I stepped back, and I realize now somewhat what that is, because the moment I start to become that specific, and that's in terms of what the number looks like, now I'm limiting myself to that experience. Now I'm my mind and my focus is, okay, so I need this many properties, this many doors for this long. And then if an opportunity comes up, like in your case, like a motel, it's a completely different opportunity, even though obviously very related. You would have potentially passed it because your focus and your attention is on something else and looking at something else. I like being way more flexible than that as we're building the businesses, because I honestly can expand in so many directions, and I trust myself enough to know what the right directions are when they come, when the opportunities come, that I will know what opportunities to pursue, which ones not to, how to grow and develop, who to bring on, attracting the right people and opportunities to us as well. So I love that. I myself have started a new business this year.
I need to hear more about it.
It's
so true. It's so true. And there's almost like that two trains of thoughts, because there are some people that are very niched. And that's it, like laser focused on their niche, and they become the expert in that, and that's it. And then people like you and I, who go more in the direction that feels good to us, the direction that we're compelled and we're, attracted to. And that's where I'm at, because I am doing this absolutely for a lifestyle that I want to cultivate. But that's not the be all and end all for me. And financially, I'm secure with my employment, and I'm not planning to leave that in the next couple of years. And so I'm just enjoying the process right now. And I call it my discovery phase. And maybe I'll never get out of the discovery phase, but it's a lot of fun. And so it's keeping me passionate, and it's keeping me showing up every day and not even thinking like it's work at this point.
That's what I love about it. So I'm reading a book called Effortless right now, and it has a very similar perspective, because I will sometimes, come into meetings with my team in the morning, and a whole ton of things have happened and progressed, and we have new clients, we have new systems, and I'm like, I just woke up. I feel so grateful, because it feels effortless that there's something being built and created, and I don't have to. Sometimes it feels like I'm not doing much, or it feels fun, or it feels easy to me. Yes. And that's the feeling that I want to experience, right? Like, I think the shift that I've had was, we all know, and I think a lot of us know, once you've already experienced some, financial security, which we both have, it's not about the money. I think when you are at a place of like a survival mode situation, which I feel like we're so grateful and blessed, not a lot of us are experiencing that in our community necessarily. Besides that, once you've experienced it, then you realize very quickly it's not about that. So when my business coach says come up with a number, like I can't connect with that, because I'm like, to me, it's not about a clarity on a number. It's about clarity on a lifestyle.
Yes.
That's way more interesting to me. So then my goal became lifestyle clarity.
Love it. Yeah, I love that, because I resonate with that. I've never been able to have a number. People always say, like, how many doors do you want? What's your, that net worth? And I've pushed back against it and just said, like, I don't have it. To be honest, I'm just moving in a direction that feels good for me, and it's been prosperous, and it's been working, and it's where I want to be at this point. Maybe it'll change. Like, I'm open to that adaptation based on like experience. And so because this world was new to me and thinking in this way, I've been investing for 18 years now, but not thinking about it. It was just, I don't know why, I just did it. I just did it. I was
I
really
love it.
compelled to do it. Like, and it worked out very well for me, but I didn't have this idea in my head.